This week on the Analog Circle podcast, we get some promising news from Naughty Dog's Neil Druckmann. A leaker is claiming he knows which PlayStation games are next up to go to PC. Take-Two CEO Strauss Zelnick talks about their approach when it comes to remastering a game. And Remedy Entertainment CEO Tero Virtala speaks about a future project from one of their teams under the Remedy umbrella. All of these stories can be found here and quite a few more in episode 167. I am your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and I want to say welcome and thank you guys so much for being here for another week of the podcast. Now, you, the listener, that's listening right now, if you want to be a part of listener feedback, which will be coming up on Wednesday, you can do that two different ways. Either call in at 443-216-9934 to let your voice be heard, or you can email the show. And the email address is simply the Analog Circle Podcast at gmail.com. So guys, this week, I was not really into anything too much. Actually, nah. I'm lying. I played some more Vanquished. Golly, man, I don't know why Sega has not tried to green light a sequel to that game. That game is so much fun. I've really been having a great time with it, gameplay-wise. Story, I mean, the story is what it is. I mean, it's not groundbreaking, but it's cool. But the gameplay, the graphics, the boss fights, it's a really good game. I would highly recommend checking it out and possibly getting the 2-pack that I got, which came with Bayonetta as well. So yeah, they definitely did their thing on Vanquished, and I would love to see another sequel to that. Hopefully it'll happen eventually, but it's been years, so I don't know. But without further ado though, because that's all I was playing this week, let's go ahead and get into what we all come here for. And that is the gaming news that went down. So let's get started with some Square Enix news. So according to Gamitsu, Forever Entertainment has entered into an agreement to develop and release multiple game remakes based on one intellectual property owned by Square Enix Japan. Now, the name of the IP wasn't given at this time, but it will be announced separately at the launch of a worldwide marketing campaign. And the remakes will feature new visuals while maintaining the same gameplay and scenario from the original versions. Now, as far as Forever Entertainment's track record goes, if you're not familiar with some of their work, they released Panzer Dragoon Remake in 2020 and will be releasing Part 2 this year, as well as working on remakes of House of the Dead 1 and 2. I wonder, are they going to actually make that light gun enabled? Because actually having a cursor and moving it across the screen doesn't give you the same feel when you're talking about playing a House of the Dead, that the gun would. So we'll have to see how that goes. But this is the thing. Just on a side note, as far as these guys go, Panzer Remake got a 63 Metascore and a 7.4 user score, so a pretty average outing at the very best. Now, does that mean that this remake or this IP that they're going to be in charge of remaking, if it's going to suffer because of this? I think that is definitely a possibility, but hopefully they'll be able to, hit a home run and the game will turn out great. I'm definitely interested in knowing which IP they will be letting these guys tackle. I would love to see if we're talking about remakes and Square Enix, I would love to see a Xenogears, man. Xenogears was awesome back in the day on the PlayStation, having the mechs and all of that stuff. I thought it was a really, really good game. Really never got any traction. I mean, I know Xenosaga has been out and all of that, but I would love to see a Xenogears remake. I think that'd be great. But let's go ahead and move on into the next story. So Take-Two's CEO Strauss Zelnick is back in the news, and this time during a Morgan Stanley technology conference, he spoke about their approach when it comes to remasters, where he said, and I quote, "Remastering has always been a part of the strategy. We've done differently than the competition. We don't just port titles over, we actually take the time to do the very best job we can, making the title different for the new release, for the new technology that we're launching it on. We improve the technology, we upgrade the visuals, and we make performance enhancements. And that's why I think our remastered titles typically do so well." End of quote. Now, after that, the IGN article pointed out that Zelnick then focused his attention on the next-gen port of GTA 5, where he said, and I quote, "I'm confident that Rockstar is going to deliver just a great experience. But you can't do that if you're just doing a simple port." End of quote. So here it is, Zelnick. He's kind of tooting his own horn, saying that when it comes down to their remakes and the games that they do over, the remasters, not remakes, pardon me, the remasters, they go that extra mile. They're going to upgrade the graphics. They're going to do the very best to accommodate the hardware that their games are running on. And I have to say, man, I definitely believe him, because they've shown it with GTA 5. When GTA 5 had released on the 360 and the PlayStation 3, and then we saw that bump that it got on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One. I mean, these guys even went in and made a first-person mode with the game, which was something that was not available on the PS3 and the Xbox 360 version. So that, along with even them just, even though it's not a remake, not by a long shot, but just to Zelnick's point about how they really go with the technology and they improve their games where the technology allows them to. Even with Red Dead Redemption 2 back on the Xbox One X, they sucked everything they could out of that machine and actually had Red Dead Redemption 2 running at 4K on the Xbox One X. So it definitely, again, just shows that these guys, they really put their best foot forward when it comes to them doing these remakes. And this definitely gets me, even though GTA 5 is 120 years old, this still gets me excited, even if it's just a little bit, to see what they will possibly do when it comes to the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5. Are they going to bump the resolution up to 4K? We know that the load times are going to be faster because, I mean, just by default. But is it going to run at 60 frames per second? Will they add some extra? I mean, I doubt if they'll do any extra missions or anything like that, but it does make me become just that much interested to see what they're going to do, just to take advantage of these consoles' hardware and the power underneath the hood that these consoles have. So I'm very interested in that. And also, it makes me wonder, he's talking about remasters now. And we heard that rumor, and it was a gigantic rumor that I don't think is going to happen, but man, it would be awesome if it did. But about GTA 3, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and GTA San Andreas, all three of those being remastered. Now, even if we could get GTA 3 just because it's celebrating its 20th anniversary this year, I think that would be awesome. But just the fact that he's talking about remasters, that makes me think that at least they're considering possibly, having other ones be remastered as far as like some of these Grand Theft Autos or even Red Dead Redemption. We had heard some time ago that was supposed to be getting remastered. So hopefully this is just a bit of a nugget. I mean, he's absolutely not saying that that's what they're doing, but hopefully it's just a bit of hope that they will do that with some of their IPs. I would love to see Max Payne 3 come back. If you're not going to give me a new one, remaster the other one, because that game was unbelievable. One of my favorite games of last generation. But let's go ahead and move on. I mean, do you guys think that they will eventually start making some remasters of some of these games that we would love to see? Who wouldn't want to see Liberty City on 2021 hardware? I mean, I think it would be amazing. But let's go ahead, man, and let's move into the next story. So this next story, once again, is pure speculation. But this week, Sony hired 2 new studio heads over at London Studios. So what could they be working on? Well, according to one new studio head named Tara Saunders, spoke on inclusivity having super strong values and wanting the team to dream big. Now, one particular statement Saunders made was, and I quote, "Our next project has huge..." Let me start that over. Our next project has huge potential, and we want to leverage that to the max by empowering the team to thrive and deliver a top quality game. End of quote. Now, this sounds like, good grief, this could be a AAA title. Now, this is where it gets interesting because last year, sometime last year, and the comic book article points this out. A former Sony London dev named Mike Rouse said on his YouTube channel that he heard Sony has something in the works, and this is so interesting, something in the works related to the Getaway. And Mike is claiming he heard this from his contacts at the company. So could it be? Now, I don't know if you guys remember this, but it was years ago. I believe it was on the PlayStation 3. And to kind of put it into a little bit more perspective, I think the last time we saw a Getaway game was around 2004, which I think it was called. Was it called Black Friday or Black Monday? I think it was Black Monday. And ironically, from London Studios, which are these guys that I'm talking about right now. So that's why, according to also this guy, once again, his name is Mike Rouse. He's saying that he's hearing the same thing, that it's going to be the Getaway. These guys are at the same studio that made the Getaway. And what I was trying to say before was back on the PlayStation 3, they had that tech demo that was showing the city and it was in London. I mean, you could clearly tell that it was London. And back then, PS3, oh man, it was nothing but lies. Major lies. People think Jim Ryan telling lies out here. God, dog, you ain't seen nothing until you sit back and you look at that PlayStation 3 doggone E3 show. Oh, that was all cap. That was capital cap, god dog it. They lied to us blatantly. That Killzone, the racing game, everything was lies pretty much. But during that show, they showed off that one scene in London, the city, where everybody thought, oh my goodness, this could be the Getaway. So who knows? Maybe I would love to see the Getaway come back. I really enjoyed that game. I thought it was really, really good. It separated itself from GTA. I never looked at it as a GTA clone. It was a really good game. I had a lot of fun with it, man. Enjoyed it. And I would love to see it come back. They showed Final Fantasy VII remake technically during that show, even though they hit the stage and they said, no, it was just for demo purposes. Well, who knows? What could stop them from circling back around, picking up the Getaway from back on the PlayStation 3, that tech demo, and actually bringing it to the masses, making it a real game? Would you guys like to see the Getaway make a comeback? I would love it. I would absolutely love to see that old IP make a comeback. It's been dormant for, God doggone, since 2004, 14, about 17 years. So yeah, I would definitely say bring it back, see what happens. Man, can you imagine what that game would look like on the PS5? Golly, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Once again, take this with the mustard seed of truth. It is just a rumor, so we'll have to wait and see what happens with it in the very, very near future. Now let's go ahead and let's move on into some Bethesda and Microsoft news, because the acquisition of ZeniMax has been approved by the United States Securities and Exchange Commission. Now, this does get them closer to the finish line, but the deal still has to be approved by the European Commission and the provisional deadline for antitrust regulators to clear the deal to ensure it doesn't break the rules around industry competition. So here it is. It continues to go through. They're running through the paces. It looks like they're finally starting to see some daybreak, some light at the end of the tunnel. Long as the European Commission and provisional deadline for antitrust actually lets it go through, I believe, now don't quote me on this, but I believe that they are at least one of the last hurdles that they have to jump over before this deal actually becomes official. So maybe, looking at the pace of this thing, it's early March right now. What's today's date that I'm recording this? It's March 7th today. So basically, we got about 3 weeks and maybe, 3 days left? I think the deal could close by then. And if it does close before the end of this month, will we still get that alleged show that Microsoft is supposed to be having, that's supposed to be starring Bethesda? Now, we heard what Aaron Greenberg said. He said the Elden Ring, hey man, don't expect all of that. You know, we ain't talking about no new game releases or anything like that. Really made me mad. Was highly upset. I'm like, come on. It's been a long, long time. When are you guys going to give some information? So if this deal does finish up in March, I wonder if they will do that show. We'll have to see, man. We'll have to see if they actually go through with it. Maybe they don't. Maybe they hold their cards until E3 season is starting. So it'll be interesting, but at least it does look like this deal pretty much, I mean, nothing is 100% guaranteed, but at least it looks like this deal is definitely going to happen. Let's go ahead and I was just bringing up Jim Ryan in the last story. Let's talk about this. Now, Jim Ryan said a week ago that other PlayStation games would be coming to PC, but he never said which games they would be. Well, according to a Twitter user named Crazy Leaks on a Train, that is this brother's name, Crazy Leaks on a Train, who has actually, and this is the interesting thing, this guy's actually had a pretty good track record when it comes to leaks, according to the DualShockers article. Now, they said, now this guy, once again, his name, if you want to look him up, Crazy Leaks on a Train, he is stating that the games that are coming to PC are Bloodborne, Uncharted Collection, Ghosts of Tsushima, and God of War. Why was I about to say guard, like Guard? God of War is coming. And like I say, this is a rumor, so definitely take it with a mustard seed of truth that this is happening. How accurate do you guys think this list is? I would say Bloodborne, I could see that happening. That game is old now, very old. The Uncharted Collection, I could definitely see that happening, coming over to PC, because that would be one heck of an introduction to the universe of Nathan Drake, having the first 3 games be available. Of course, the fourth one isn't on this list, and that would make sense because those three were from the PlayStation 3 era, and Uncharted 4 being on the PS4, it makes a little bit more sense. But where things get a little shaky for me, I would even say God of War. I could see that happening as well because that's an older title that turned will be 3 years old this year. So there's a little bit of age on it, not much, but yeah, a couple years. But Ghost of Tsushima, that's when I say, whoa, whoa. Ghost of Tsushima is only a couple of months old. I mean, when did that come out? That came out towards man, y'all know my memory is bad, man. Towards the end of the year, towards the middle of the year or the end of the year. Man, you know what, man? I got Google. Hold on. Let's see what Google has to say about this. When did Ghost of Tsushima release? Oh, there we go.
Ghost of Tsushima's initial release date is July 17th, 2020.
All right, so man, this thing ain't even a year old yet. I didn't think so. July 17th, 2020. That seems very, very quick, if this is true. And it seems like during this timeline of these games that are coming to PC from PlayStation, that it has gotten a little shorter because Horizon Zero Dawn, I think that was 2 or 3 years old when it came over to PC. And then you have Days Gone, which came out, I believe, 2 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. And now you're gonna allegedly have Ghost of Tsushima, which is just a couple of months old. If this trend keeps on going, and once again, this is a rumor, we don't know for sure, but if the trend is to be believed and Ghost of Tsushima comes over there not even or just a year later, that timeline is shrinking like crazy. Do you guys ever think that it will be a time where PlayStation games will go day and date on PC? I would sincerely hope not. I would absolutely hope not. I know that would be bad for business for Sony because I know that a big part of their company is the PlayStation brand. And man, at that point, oh shucks. If PlayStation games were coming to PC day and date, and Xbox games are coming to PC day and date, oh shucks. I might have to make some real gaming life decisions. Because here it is, you're telling me that one platform will be able to play 2 major platforms games day and date, and you'll get the better experience, you'll get the higher resolution, the higher frame rate, all of that stuff. Man, you put me in a very, very peculiar situation if you do that to me. Now, once again, I'm not a PC guy. I haven't been for many, many years. You guys know that my PC days were over around like Police Quest 4, maybe King's Quest 4. That was around the time when I started weaning off a PC because my PC started getting too weak to run the newer games. And I hated that headache. So yes, PC gaming is a major, major headache that I don't want. But at bare minimum, just being honest with y'all, if this happens, oh man, Sony, oh brothers, please don't do that because I might be slightly, just even in the smallest bit, tempted. I mean, I might just look at the PC, not saying I'm going to buy it, but I'm definitely going to be looking at the PC like, oh, how much is that video card? How much is that graphics card? What? I mean, it might make me think at least twice. Not saying it's going to happen, but Sony, golly, I hope that doesn't happen. That would be a bad day for me. That'd be a sad day for me, quite honestly, because I'm a console guy, and hopefully Sony, they don't break that trend of not having their games on PC day and date, but that timeline is shrinking. By the way, speaking of Sony here, God dog, never mind. I messed that up. We gonna skip that. Don't worry. I'll find a better slot for it. But yeah, matter of fact, this next story that we're gonna go over, let's go ahead and move on to that real quick, because I definitely botched what I was gonna say. But in quick news, according to a comic book article, Resident Evil Village on Xbox platforms will take up an estimated 50.02 gigabytes of hard drive space. But if you choose to download RE Village alone without installing Resident Evil Verse, it will be 35 gigabytes, because Verse is allegedly supposed to take up 15 gigs alone. And this is actually based on the Microsoft Store. So that's actually very, very, very good. I mean, that's amazing to have a game that's on next-gen hardware only take up 35 gigabytes without actually making you have to download the multiplayer. And we had heard about that some time ago, where Phil Spencer was saying that, you know, you wouldn't have to download all of the other languages like Dutch or Spanish or German. You know, you could just download the assets that you need in your region to help free up some of that hard drive space that you're really not going to be using. So just the fact that they're actually making it so you can piecemeal this, that definitely at least speaks a little bit to what Phil Spencer was saying and how you would be able to save some hard drive space. And I'm pretty sure, I can't say for certain, but I'm pretty sure that the same thing is going to go for the PlayStation side as well, where you'll be able to, you know, download either the campaign or the campaign and the verses. You know, you'll be able to choose. So I think that's great. 35 gigabytes, not bad at all. But also, yeah, now this is another thing that I did find. Speaking of the Microsoft Store, Tomb Raider was allegedly spotted on there, and it's being called the Definitive Survivor Trilogy, which is going to include Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider in one package, and it's supposed to release, and this is pretty amazing, March 18th, allegedly. And I think I believe Tomb Raider, Lara Croft, she turns, I think, 25 years old this year, because I think the first game released back in 1996, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, having all three of these games in one package. Of course, no price point was given at this moment, but all three of those games I thoroughly enjoyed. I just wish that they had included they're older. Spoiler in 3, 2, 1. I wish they had went into the backstory and gave her dual wielding pistols. That was the only thing that I was upset about, especially how the first one. Well, I'm really going into spoilers now, but yeah, for people that didn't play the games, this is a great package. I enjoyed all three. Hopefully, I'm pretty sure this is probably going to be about $60. And this is the thing, they also didn't say whether or not it would be any enhancements, you know, any 4K resolution, any frame rate bumps, any extra textures added or anything like that. So we'll have to wait and see about that. But allegedly, if you haven't played these games, March 18th, you'll be able to. Now, speaking of what I was trying to segue into and messed up on, having us talk about the Microsoft Store, the Xbox Store. If you're one of the people that I was talking about that didn't get a chance to play Tomb Raider, and you would be interested in getting this Definitive Survivor Trilogy, I have right here a $25 Xbox gift card. I missed y'all last week. That was my bad. That was my fault. Couldn't get to the store, so I apologize. But this week, $25. So without further ado, get your crayons ready, get your notebook paper ready, get your number 2 pencils ready, even a pen, whatever you got, a ballpoint pen, it don't matter. Go ahead and get ready to write this code down. Now, this is for $25 again, and here we go. The code is as follows. It's 793FRWTP VV TX9, 3Y, 3, 6, V, T7, P9, V3, and Z. Write that down, $25. Good luck to you. Hopefully, one of you guys win. Right into the show. I will definitely shout you out. I got tongue-tied there for a minute. Definitely will shout you out. And good luck to you guys. Hopefully one of you guys are able to claim it and get it. And that's just I'm serious. That's just a small token of my appreciation of you guys just rocking out every week, being here, showing support, writing in, listening, spreading the word about the Analog Circle podcast. It's really, really, truly appreciated, guys. So, let's go ahead, man. We have talked about, Microsoft and the Xbox Store and Tomb Raider. Let's go ahead and let's talk about Remedy, because Remedy Entertainment CEO Tero Virtala sat down with GameIndustry.biz to speak about Control. Now, this was very, very interesting, where he said that it isn't a, quote, major hit, end of quote. Now, the game has sold, now I couldn't believe this when I saw this number. Control, being available on multiple platforms, has only sold 2 million copies. This game won Game of the Year, and it sold 2 million copies. Now, granted, just because a game sells 2 million copies doesn't mean that it doesn't earn or it doesn't deserve Game of the Year. But I would have thought that a winner of Game of the Year, by the way, I did not think Control should have won Game of the Year that year, but it did. And in competition, hey man, it wasn't all that stiff, to be fair. But I figured that it being the winner of Game of the Year, that this number would have been bigger because of the accolade that it got, that it would make more people become interested in the game. Now, I have Control, and Control is actually a really good game. It's only one problem that I have with Control that has stopped me from going back to it, and it is the navigation in that game. I'm not saying I need a waypoint maybe I am saying I need a waypoint. Maybe I am, because I'm getting lost and I'm going from this room to that room, not finding the objectives. I can't figure out how to move around that doggone map. I think that if they had a waypoint system, it would have really, really bode well for that game, because it's a fun game to play. I love the powers. It's a beautiful game to look at. I was enjoying the story until it got halted because of me not knowing how to navigate the map. So, well, maybe it did deserve Game of the Year. Maybe it did, man. I just haven't been able to get into it deep enough to really see what the game is made of. I think I'm only in like maybe 2.5 hours, no more than 3. So I haven't really seen too much of the game, but it definitely is a very beautiful game, and I love the gameplay of it as well. But this wasn't the only thing that was actually discussed, because they had inside of the article it had mentioned, golly, where did I get this from? Did I write it down? I don't know if I wrote down the article, but they had wrote up that four Remedy teams are working on different games. So one, of course, that we know about is Crossfire X, which that is, is supposed to be an Xbox exclusive first-person shooter, still supposed to be coming out sometime this year. Then they were talking about that it's another game in development called Vanguard, which is a free-to-play live service cooperative multiplayer experience. And a new game is also being made by the Control team as well. Now, that wasn't specified what that was either, but they did say that team is back to work. Now, another interesting thing about these different teams underneath the Remedy banner is there are 2 other teams with, 2 unannounced projects coming to consoles and PC from another team, which are being funded by Epic Games. Now, one of these games is, quote, a full AAA experience, end of quote. And the other is a, quote, smaller game. But the interesting thing about these two games is they're both set in a shared universe. So who knows if this could be a crossover that we've heard about for quite some time now. Could it be a crossover of Alan Wake and Control, or could it be a crossover of Quantum Break and Control? Because we all know that those two games were running so parallel with one another that we thought that Control, when we were seeing the early shots of it, we were like, oh, this is a sequel. This is a doggone sequel to Quantum Break. I mean, they have the same art style. They have these same powers. Well, they at least look the same in the trailers that they were showing. And we were like, man, that has to be a sequel. But we found out that it wasn't. So that would be so interesting if they were to take those two, intertwine those two together, the two main characters or the protagonists, and see what they could do with that. Or maybe it could be Alan Wake and Quantum Break. I mean, we just don't know, but we do know that these two games that are being funded by Epic, they are both going to intertwine in some kind of way. One is going to be a AAA experience, and one is going to be a bit of a smaller game. Now, this was the quote. I think I wrote down the quote that he said. Yeah, Mr. Virtala's quote said, with the project we're doing with Epic, it's in a world we want players to spend more time in. There's more opportunities to explore the world and the brand than in one single game. End of quote. So yeah, we'll definitely have to see what happens with this. It should be very, very interesting. And yeah, Remedy, I hope that whatever they come out with, it's great. I don't have any problems with Remedy. Quantum Break, man, the game had so much potential. So much. And I really just wish Microsoft would have greenlit a sequel. I understand the game probably didn't do well as far as sales went, but man, such a good game with, I should say a potentially great game with really good bones, man. I really enjoyed Quantum Break. It definitely had some gameplay issues. It was not, it wasn't polished. It definitely wasn't polished like you would have hoped it would have been, but it definitely showed promise. So, yeah, we'll have to see what happens, man. But let's get into the next story, and I think we are almost done here, guys. But let's talk about Naughty Dog. So, director Neil Druckmann had some interesting things to say over on Twitter, and I quote, he said this: "If you tweeted me asking me about a future project, I can't say anything. Please stay patient. We have several cool things we can't wait to share with you. As soon as we can, we will." And the brother left a heart there to let you know, hey, we love y'all. Something else there, brother. Something else. So, does this mean, did I say end of quote? Yeah, that was the end of the quote where the heart was. But does this mean that a new IP is coming? We've heard rumors about this for about a year now, that Naughty Dog, they're working on a brand new IP. It has something to do with space, or it could be a first-person shooter. Nobody knows 100% what this project is. Is that what he's referring to? Because he said several cool things that they can't wait to share with us. So is that one, or is it The Last of Us Part 2's multiplayer? Ain't nobody forget, Neil. Ain't nobody forget that y'all supposed to be working on that multiplayer, and it's not here yet. Here it is. We are in the following year. We are in March. We're about to be in spring in a doggone little bit, and we haven't seen not even a drop, not even an inkling of multiplayer. Now, granted, I'm gonna be honest with y'all. I ain't gonna cap here. Y'all know I don't play multiplayer. That's not my gig. That ain't my thing. But to the people that want to play it and people that are, anticipating it, can't wait for it, Hopefully you guys get an announcement about this. Hopefully that could be something, or could it be another Uncharted? Could it be an Uncharted 5? I don't know if you could do Uncharted 5. I really don't know how that would work, and there's no spoilers here for people that might not have played 4. But I just don't know how do you do that? I mean, everybody that beat the game, you know how it ended. Do you think that they could go back and do another Uncharted under those circumstances? Or do you think that, well, no spoilers, but do you think that, so-and-so could return? Or do you think he's done? That would be the thing that I just don't know. I don't know. Or going out on a deeper limb, I mean, we out in the deep end of the pool with this one in the ocean. Could they be bringing back a new Jak and Daxter? We had heard at one time that Jak and Daxter was supposed to be making a return. Of course, it hasn't happened yet. And just like anything that's rumors, that's all it is rumors until it's proven to be true. So we can't believe it and have to take it at face value. But could that be something that they would want to re-explore? We had heard at one point they were thinking about bringing the franchise back, but giving it a bit of a darker tone. Instead of having it, be the way that it was, give it a bit of an edge, and I think that would work. Jak and Daxter was a dope game, man. Back on the PS2 era, that was a good game. I enjoyed the characters. They were almost like, pretty much kind of like Ratchet and Clank. I wouldn't doubt, now I can't say for sure, I don't know this, but I wouldn't doubt that somewhere in Insomniac Games, somewhere in that studio, that they looked at Jak and Daxter and they said, you know what, I kind of like the way this is. They might have fed off of that a little bit. I don't know which franchise came out first. I can't remember, which one made it to the party first, but I'm sure that even if they didn't get inspiration from them, maybe they inspired each other. I don't know, because they were both under the PlayStation banner. So, I mean, who knows, man? But I'm being long-winded with this one. My apologies. We'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully during E3 season, Naughty Dog, they'll hit the stage or the virtual stage, y'all know what I'm saying, and have some great announcements, maybe show off a brand new IP, a returning IP, some multiplayer. We'll just have to see. And I just basically repeated everything I talked about. Anyway, let's go ahead and move into the next story. And this next story is actually, next to the last one. But last week, this is a bit of an update story. So last week we heard the rumors about the Switch Pro, or quote, the Super Nintendo Switch. I really hope that is the name of this console. I love that name. But this week Bloomberg is reporting about it and said Samsung will start mass production of a 7-inch 720p resolution OLED panel as early as June. End of quote. Now, the OLED panel will consume less battery, offer higher contrast, and possibly faster time when compared to the Switch's current liquid crystal display. End of quote. Now, that quote actually is coming from Yoshio Tamura, who is a co-founder of Display Consultancy, or DSCC. So, yeah, right there, having them actually making the screen 7 inches, 720p resolution, now this seems a little realistic. This is Bloomberg. This isn't the leakers, the alleged leakers, or the people that were on Reset Era. This is Bloomberg reporting this. And just the fact that last week we had heard that the screen was going to be 4K. So just the fact that they are saying that Samsung is going to start the mass production on this 7-inch 720p resolution OLED panels in June, that makes me think that's a little bit more realistic. Seems like it might be some truth to this. Now, the report, it didn't end there, because it was also said that the latest model, this Nintendo Switch. No, the Super Nintendo Switch, allegedly. It will also come with 4K ultra high definition graphics when paired with TV. So I guess in dock mode, the power of this thing will really show. And this is the last thing that I wanted to let you guys know, if you weren't aware of it. The Nintendo Switch, this isn't the Lite, this is just the regular Nintendo Switch. The screen on that display is 6.2 inches. So just the fact that they're making it 7 inches, allegedly, because none of this has been confirmed by Nintendo. So allegedly, if this is true, they're going to be basically bumping the screen size up about roughly not even quite an inch. So that's not really, that much bigger. But I only bring that up because this still seems pretty realistic. Thinking about it from that perspective, it doesn't seem like they're reaching for the moon. A 10-inch screen, 4K resolution, Samsung, top of the line. No, they're saying it's gonna be pretty modest, when it comes to these panels. But when you hook it up to the TV, when it's docked, you're gonna get that 4K resolution. So one thing that seems to be pretty much a repeated theme here is this 4K resolution. So that definitely means that this console it's gotta be a lot stronger than the original Switch, I would have to guess, because of being able to have 4K resolution displayed on your TV. And I guess that would make sense because even though the Switch is selling at a crazy clip, and they're still claiming, once again, that this is coming out sometime this year. Once again, these screens from Samsung are supposed to be going to mass production as early as June, which is 3 months away from where we are now. So I would think that they also did say, and I didn't write this down, but they said by the time it releases, it should be around the holiday season, sometime around November when it releases, and they're going to try to have as many as 1 million units ready to go, which is a drop in the ocean when you think about how many people are probably going to be interested in this console. So, yeah, we're going to have to just wait and see, man. Hopefully Nintendo, summertime, E3 season, maybe they'll have a couple of announcements. Maybe they'll talk about it. Or maybe it's still not happening, because we did hear from Nintendo's president, and I know I'm not going to remember his name, but he did say that they had no plans of releasing a Nintendo Switch Pro anything in 2021. So we'll have to definitely wait and see and keep our hand on the pulse of this story. But it's definitely looking very, very promising. It's looking like I'm not going to say definitely going to happen, but it looks very, very realistic. But let me see. It was one more story I had here. Yeah, this isn't really a big story, but I'll talk about it. Now, y'all know that I've said this before, and I will say it 1,000,000 times. I thought Death Stranding was a horrible game. I thought it was a bad game, and horrible is a little too extra, but it was not a fun game. It wasn't great. The story was interesting, but the gameplay and the fighting, beautiful game. So beautiful, but man, just not fun. I didn't understand the appeal of walking around and having these packages, 1 billion of them on your back. You're swaying to the side, having to hold the 2 trigger buttons down to keep yourself centered. Yeah, man. I was not a fan. But I will say that this week some alleged news came out about the game. So this is according to an insider on Reset Era named Navtra, which is spelled Navtra. He's saying that a remastered version of the game from 2019 would be coming to both, and this is where I got the biggest question mark in the air right now. Like, what? He's saying that this remastered version is coming to both the PlayStation 4 and the PS5. Now I don't know how you are going to play a remastered version of a game that was already released on that hardware. How does that work? I don't know. That's the first big flag with this one that I can think of. Now, he did say that this alleged remastered version, it would feature a brand new story content, and he's claiming that this will be revealed in a month officially. He's saying that the DLC or this remastered version of the game has been done for quite some time, but they have been sitting on it and waiting for the right time to tell us about it. And listen, I don't know how well Death Stranding did as far as sales go. I don't know what happened over on the PC. Did they get it on PC? I believe they did. I don't know what the sales were like over there, but God, dog, I can only imagine they would want to repackage it if they didn't make the money back, try to do something to get some more interest in the game. Now, whether or not that works, I don't know, but guess we'll have to see. But guys, that is the end of the gaming news this week. We're going to get out of here early. Now, what I do want to do is this week, we're going to get into some video game theater, and I was talking about it, man. Quantum Break. God, dog. Was definitely not one of my favorite games. I ain't going to go out there. I ain't going out on a limb that far and say it was one of my favorite games, but it was a game that I saw from last generation that I thought, I said this just a couple of minutes ago, I thought it had such potential, man, so much potential to be just a great IP. If it had one more round, kind of like Rocky 5, one more round. If it just had one more go around, I think it could have been something great. So I just wanted to just take a trip back to Quantum Break, and this might be a spoiler clip. So if you haven't played the game, or if you haven't beat the game, or if you're interested in it and you haven't picked it up yet, you might want to skip forward about a minute or so once Video Game Theater starts. But hey, this is for you, Quantum Break. And we'll be back after this week's Video Game Theater with the final section of the podcast. So stay tuned, guys.
No, Beth, come on, move. Beth, get up. Beth, come on, get up. Please, Beth, you need to move, okay? Yeah, that's it. Get the gun. Come on, Beth, move. Come on, please. Beth, move! Paul, don't do it. Don't!
I'm not wrong.
You can't.
No! No! Serene had to countermeasure the whole time. I had to get it back.
A rash decision. You claim Beth Wilder's death had no impact on your behavior, but...
Like I said.
And welcome back, guys. Welcome back. We're in the final section of the podcast. I know you guys saw the question already, but like we do every week, we're going to go over it officially. So the question that I want to ask you guys, and I'm not very versed in this, that's why I really want to know what you guys think. Are games as a service in trouble? Now, the reason why I'm asking that is because we've seen what's happening with Marvel's The Avengers. That game didn't do too well. The content hasn't been coming out at a consistent basis. Spider-Man has been delayed, and the game has not really hit its marks when it comes to a games as a service type of game. Also, we've seen last week, Anthem has also fell by the wayside, where EA just completely gave up. They threw in the towel. Said that's it. Throwing it in. You can't work on the game. No, you're not going to, redo it or try to make it better with throwing it in. That's it. Seeing those two games, go away in a sense. Well, I mean, we know the Marvel Avengers, some content is coming for that. So that's not being just thrown to the side or to the curb. But we do know that Anthem, that's it. And also, I understand that on the opposite side of the spectrum, you have games like Apex, Fortnite, Destiny, the Call of Duty game that's online that's, not part of the campaign that you get with the game. I forget what the name of it is. But, I know that those are very successful as well. So you do have two different sides, but it just makes me wonder. It seems like these games as a service, that some of these companies that think they can just jump right in and just fit in and do what they do, it doesn't work out for them too much. So I'm not going to be long-winded. That's the question. If you want to be a part of the discussion, you can do it two different ways. You can either email the show, and the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com, or you can call into the show and really let your voice be heard at 443-216-9934. I was your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and I truly thank you guys for being here with me this week. It's always appreciated. Thank you guys for the amazing support. Thank you guys for spreading the word about the Analog Circle podcast. It just is humbling. It makes a brother feel amazing, and I really, really, truly, truly thank y'all. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up this week. But we will be back at it on Wednesday. So like I said, if you want to be a part of the conversation, write in or call in, and we're gonna be back at it then. But until then, always remember one thing: it is not about the consoles. It is about the games. So once again, until Wednesday when we do it again, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.